Hi everyone, very good morning and welcome back to Grade B. So today we are going to complete our Ministry of Tribal Affairs, right? So yesterday we did discuss about Adivasi Mahila Sashактikaran Yojana and goal. This we have already discussed. Mission Vandhan also we have discussed. Now we have to talk about the lastly Mission Vandhan and Adi Prashikshan. These are the schemes that we have to discuss today, and then we'll be discussing about the rules and regulations that we have, or the acts, rules and regulations that we have for the tribal people, right? So Mission Vandhan, this term was coined by our Honorable Prime Minister. TriFed is the implementing agencies, right? It was launched by the Minister of Tribal Affairs on 15 June 2021. So yes, this becomes an important scheme for us because it has been launched very recently. Okay, the key points over here is that TriFed will be implementing the Sankalp Se Siddhi Mission Vandhan, so that this mission, establishments of various Vandhan Vikas Kendras, mini tri-food units, apart from that common facility centers, etc., they are going to be made. And as I have already told you that government wants to export the tribes things. Apart from that, government also wants to market them so that they can achieve the higher returns on their items that they are producing. So with that particular intention, e-commerce platform will also be set up under the Mission Vandhan. So all these schemes that we have read, Try Food, even your Vandhan Vikas Kendras, all of these are taken care under this. Fine. So this is your Mission Vandhan, a fairly easy thing to understand. Now moving on to the next topic that we have. So the topics are very small topics under this particular ministry. But what you have to understand is the intent, who's the implementing agencies, and what exactly you are going to do in it. Simple. Now next is we have the Adi Prashikshan, again launched in 2021 and hence becomes important piece of information, right? After this particular scheme, we are going to discuss the basic acts and rules that are required for us to be known under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. See, it is developed by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs in collaboration with the UNDP and the Tribal Research Institutes in the Odisha. What is the objective of the Adi Prashikshan? So it will provide a central database for all the training programs that are conducted by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, right? Main objective is of this portal is so that we create an end-to-end centralized training platform where all the schemes under which trainings are being provided, they can be combined, they can be taken into one place, and everyone, whosoever is the eligible beneficiaries, they can take the benefit of this online training platform, right? So institutions which are covered under this particular portal are tribal research institutes and different divisions of the tribal ministry, National Society for Education, Center of Excellence, National Tribal Research Institutes. All of these institutes are in some way or the other, they are trying to train the tribals, right? So that is why they have been included under this particular mission. Now what you have to remember about this particular mission is, just remember the name and the intention, that Adi Prashikshan is the electronic platform where you want to train. You have combined, you have created a database for all the kinds of training that are provided to the tribals. So it does brings the benefits of efficiency. Only this is the importance of this particular scheme. The benefits it is going to bring together the information on various training programs, right? And it will also serve as the one point information hub of the database of resource persons, master trainers, as well as participants. Everything related to tribal training will be combined under one particular platform. This is your Adi Prashikshan. Now moving ahead to a very important Forest Rights Act. This act has been in the news various times, right? Whenever any problem comes up with the tribes and their lands, this particular act is into the news, right? And at that particular moment, I would also like to tell you various competitive examinations have asked the questions regarding this. Like one question that is frequently asked is that who is the decision making authority under the Forest Right Act? If you have, when we'll be discussing this particular act, you will get to know that we are discussing about the tribal lands, who has the ownership onto it. So because the tribal people, they are living for generations in that particular act, we have divided into two categories. One is obviously your scheduled tribes, and then there are other forest dwellers. Other forest dwellers means those who have at least for last 75 years who has remained in those particular forests, right? So they are called as the other traditional forest dwellers, and their rights have also been recognized over here. This particular act talks about individual rights, means that as an individual what kind of rights you have, and apart from that it also talks about the community based rights. Community based rights means as a community what are the rights that you guys are having. Okay, so this act is important, that is why we have included this particular act. Questions can be asked, so let's read it thoroughly because it cannot be skipped. So see over here, Forest Rights Act, Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Right Act 2006. This is its total name, correct? ST and OTFD Rights Act 2006. It is also called as, in short, Forest Rights Act. This legislation was passed in the 2006. Why it was passed? Because we wanted to give the rights of forest dwelling communities, we want to give them the rights of land. So there was a tussle which was happening between the forest department and the people who are living in the forest. There was a continuous tussle between these, right? So with this particular act, the government has tried to solve it. So this particular act gives the legal recognition to the rights of traditional forest dwellers communities, right? What are the objectives? We want to undo the historical injustice that has happened with you during the time of Britishers. If you have read the history even a little bit, you might be knowing that there was Santhal rebellion and other kinds of rebellion that has happened. Why? Because the Britishers were bringing outsiders in the lands of the your tribals, right? Tribal people, and they did not accept it. The land was everything to them. So any kind of historical injustice that was happened to them, we want to correct it. After that, we also want to ensure that land tenure, livelihood, food security of other traditional forest dwellers, to strengthen the conservation regime of the forest by including the responsibilities on forest rights holder. Now understand this, you might be knowing whenever the forest survey is done in India, it has always been realized that the forest lands which are there under the control of tribes, they are flourishing very well, because the people of tribes, they consider the land as a god. The whatever the plants as well as the trees which are there on that particular land, they consider them as divine, right? So they try not to harm them. You might have seen in various kinds of movies as well how tribes worship their forests. And one more thing I would like to tell you, not related to this, but yes, today we will be bringing the FTP, right? So whatever the new FTP has been launched, and we will be talking about it, so please do not forget to watch that as well. We will be discussing the highlights in it. Now, history of forest acts in India, not very important because this is going back into the time and we are not concerned with this. We are concerned with what are the rights under this particular act. So right to the act, it grants the forest dwelling scheduled tribes and OTFD the ability to possess the land, right, up to 4 hectares. So remember this, what is the maximum limit of the land has been granted to them? It is 4 hectares. You cannot have more than that. Now what are the rights to use? They can extract the minor forest produced. Additional lands will not be awarded. Only the property that is being cultivated right now, they will have the rights over it. Rights to relief and development, basic amenities in the events of illegal if they have been removed from the land illegally, then in that particular case they have got the right to relief and development. Please focus what are the individual rights and what are the community rights. Individual rights is you can collect the minor forest produce. You will be having the right to stay on that particular land. What is the land requirement? Up to 4 hectares. Correct? Up to 4 hectares land you can have, and right now on that land on which you are doing the cultivation. So that will be given to you. Next is, what are the forest management rights? So yes, if you are taking the individual rights, at the same time you also have the responsibility to conserve the forest. So these are will be called as forest management right. Now next question is, the rights can be claimed by whom, right? Which person can claim this particular right? So scheduled tribes. So we already have a list of scheduled tribes. All these tribes can claim it. Rest is, they also can be claimed by any member of community who has for at least 3 generations. That means at least for 75 years they have remained in that particular forest. They are called as OTFD, other traditional forest dwellers. Please remember the definition, the 75 years definition. The Gram Sabha is the authority to initiate the process for determining the nature of individual forest rights or community forest rights, right? So please remember, this question has been asked in various competitive examinations, that which is the authority which can initiate the process for determining the rights of individuals under the Forest Rights Act. So this content piece is important. Now there are some rules as well. So role of Gram Sabha. Gram Sabha's role is to protect and manage the forest, right? The Gram Sabha is also a highly empowered body under the Act, which is enabling the tribal population so that these tribals can have a say in the local policies. These tribals can say that no, this land belongs to me, and therefore the first authority which is taking the application process is your Gram Sabha. Now procedure, what is the procedure? So the Gram Sabha, that is full village assembly. I might have told you the difference between Gram Sabha and Gram Panchayat. Remember that Gram Sabha includes all the adult members of your village, and Gram Panchayat consists of the elected members only. So that is the difference. And here we are talking about Gram Sabha, not Gram Panchayat. So please remember this. Gram Sabha makes the recommendation that this person is cultivating the land and we can give the right to them. Gram Sabha's recommendations goes to 2 types of screenings at district level as well as the taluka level. After once it has been screened, then the approval, the land is recognized under this particular act. And one more problem is there. Not, you cannot say this is a problem, but this is the thing to conserve. The government gives the right to stay, but government does not give the right to sale. So the land which you are getting under the Forest Rights Act 2006, you cannot sell that particular land. That land is being given to you because you have resided in that particular area for generations, and that is why we are allowing you to stay there so that you can conserve the forest as well. But that land is not available for any kind of sale. I hope you understand it. Okay. Now what is the significance? One more thing that you can understand over here. Forest Rights Committee of the Gram Sabha, they shall not re-examine recognized rights, right? And the number of scheduled tribes represented has increased from 1/3 to the 2/3. Now, in the Forest Rights Committee of the Gram Sabha, 2/3 representation will be from the tribes. This is what they are saying. Now, these things are not very significant for us. Next is provisions of panchayats, that is extension to the scheduled areas. We have already covered this, right? But let's cover it once again. Very briefly, I am going to cover this, although I am getting the feeling that we have already covered this under Ministry of Social Justice. But still, let's take the main points and revisit them again so that it is going to be a better revision for you guys. So background is 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment gave us the Panchayati Raj institutions, but we do understand that in the tribal areas, the Panchayati Raj laws cannot be applied as it is. We need some kinds of differentiation, we need some kind of differences, because the way of living of tribal people are different from us, right? So Government of India, they have constituted a committee in the year 1994 to look into the need for such law and modalities. This particular committee was formulated, was chairman was Dalip Singh Bhuria, and he gave us the recommendation. On these recommendations, we formulated the PESA Act of 1996. PESA Act of 1996, it says that the Panchayati Raj laws, how we are going to apply them to the tribal areas, right? So the objective is to have village governance, to evolve administrative framework which was consistent with the traditional practices of the tribals, right? To examine the provision of the part 9 of the constitution and to extend it to scheduled areas. At the same time, where it is going to be applicable, so it is going to be applicable on all the states which are coming under the 5th schedule areas. 5th schedule areas currently is in force in 10 states of our country, right? That means these are the tribes inhabited areas. I have already told you there are two schedules in our constitution, 5th schedule, 6th schedule, right? Under 6 schedules, we are considering 4 states of Northeast, that is AM, TM, right? So these are the 4 states, AM, TM, that is, I take it from the Assam, Tripura, your Mizoram, right? So these are the things, and in your schedule 5 areas, we have got 10 states where these are the tribe inhabited areas. Now, what are these areas? These are Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Himachal, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, and Telangana. Key features of this particular act is that every village will have a Gram Sabha, which will be consisting of the person that has been included in the electoral rolls. Every Gram Sabha will be competent to preserve the rights of the people. Every Gram Sabha is going to approve the plans and programs and projects for the socio-economic development. It is going to be responsible for the identification of beneficiaries for the poverty elevation. See, what we want to do under this particular act is we want to give the powers to the Gram Sabha. Why? Because these Gram Sabha are going to be represented by the tribes people. We want to implement our administrative process, but at the same time, we also want that the traditional practices of the tribes should be assimilated, right? We do not want to disregard the traditional practices. Now just wait for a second. Yes. So now move ahead. Now, what are the powers that the Gram Sabha is having? So, these are the powers with which Gram Sabha is endowed with. It can regulate or restrict consumption of any intoxicants. Ownership of minor forest produce is with the Gram Sabha, right? Any alienation of land. See, sometimes what happens is people give the money to share tribe people, right? And these tribe people, they are low in educational criteria, so they fall into the debt trap, right? They keep on repaying the loan, but that loan never gets ended, right? So in these kinds of situations, the powers has been provided to the Gram Sabha, that if suppose a tribal people comes and he says that I want to sell my land, so Gram Sabha has the authority to say no, correct? Because there have been the institutions where the people give the bribes, etc. They give the greed of money to these tribal people so that they can sell their land. Any such kind of sale which is having the impact, negative impact on the tribal people, will be prohibited by the Gram Sabha. Now they are also going to manage the village markets. They are going to exercise the controls over money lending to the scheduled tribes, right? Every panchayat shall be required to obtain from the Gram Sabha certification of utilization of funds. So the most important body under this, under tribal areas, is your Gram Sabha, to which PESA is applicable on whom? So there are two scheduled areas, schedule 5 as well as schedule 6. Schedule 5 areas, we have 10 states in our country. Those are called as the Schedule 5 areas because the tribal people living there is high. And then we also have Schedule 6 area. Schedule 6 area, I have told you, AMTM, that is Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram, right? Manipur is not included in it. Now next, see the reservation related thing. Reservation of seats in the scheduled areas at every panchayat shall be in proportion of the population of communities, right? Provided that reservation for scheduled tribes shall not be less than the half of total number of seats. Remember this particular thing, in the panchayat we are providing the reservations to the tribal people. Why? Because schedule 5 areas have been constituted, the PISA Act has been constituted for the preservation of rights of tribals. Understanding my point? So with that particular intentions, what we want to do is, whatever members are there in the panchayat, 50% members will be from the tribal group. Provided further that all seats of chairpersons at all levels shall be reserved for the scheduled tribes. Please remember this. This is very, very important under the PISA Act. So these some acts are staples, right? Staples means they are very important and we cannot do without them. So this is one of the act, and please understand the importance of this. Now some of the constitutional provisions are there, just for your reference, right? Article 17, it seeks to abolish the untouchability. Article 46, it comes under, Article 17 comes under your fundamental rights. Article 46, it comes under your directive principles of state policy. That means the state has been instructed to follow like this. After that, Article 338, it provides a National Commission for Scheduled Castes. 338A provides National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. 338B provides for National Commission of Backward Classes. And 330 says that reservation will be provided to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in Lok Sabha. That has already been provided. And 332 says that reservation of seats for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in the legislative assemblies of the states. So these have been the provisions for the upliftment of your scheduled tribes, as well as some provisions were belonging to scheduled caste people as well. With that, we have summed up our Ministry of Tribal Affairs. I hope that you would have understood the points that we were discussing under this, and do not forget to like this video, and thank you so much for joining in. And yes, do not forget to watch the FTP video also. That is also important today.